We have to postpone this.
No, we've
There we
quorum.
go.
3 out of 5.
I'd like to call to order the February 24th meeting of the Parks and Public Works Committee of Saugatuck.
Sherrick,
Here.
Hoffman, Kimball,
Yes.
Roach. Here. Stanton.
Here.
And Teal's not here.
Teal is supposed to join us later, so I guess you can modify accordingly.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing we need to do is the approval of the agenda. And I actually have a suggestion that we make some changes to the agenda.
Okay.
For
Okay.
one, because Judy is not here, excuse me. And we really would like her to participate when we get to the Mount Baldhead revegetation.
Okay.
That we switch the order of discussion items C and D so that we do Village Square Courts as item C and Mount Baldhead revegetation as item D.
Okay.
And also, I'm going to suggest that we delete item E, no mow, may, leave the leaves. I just think we have a full agenda and we don't have as much discuss on that as we might at another meeting.
And
Can I have a motion?
I
just
move.
quick
Okay.
discussion. Annual selection of officers. Do you want Judy to be involved with that as well? Do you want to put that towards the bottom? Or are you good?
Oh,
I don't know. I'm just asking. I didn't know if we needed more people because I can't vote. So.
I think we're okay to
Okay.
go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Well-
That sounds good.
We can wait. What?
Well, I guess we could have 2 vote, right? Because
Yeah.
we only have, yeah.
So can 2 vote for 1?
Can't one
I-
vote for
I don't
themselves?
know.
I mean, we have a quorum.
Yeah. So that's fine. Okay. I was just wanted to double check on that.
Sarah, can you verify that? That's enough quorum to make a.
Those 3 can
right?
vote. Yeah.
If we nominate Judy, then I guess we would wait.
Okay. Sounds good.
You're not here, you're elected president.
Yeah, we'll let you know later. So she's the chair.
Fine. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Okay, go ahead, Cal.
Okay, I move that we modify the agenda by switching the order of items C and D and remove the discussion item E due to lack of time.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Oh, does that need to be voice vote or roll call?
Nope, voice
Okay,
vote.
okay. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, great. Okay, next thing we need is the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. All right, the next thing would be public comment on agenda items only. So we have only one person, I think, in the room. And Brittany, did you say? Brittany, do you have? Yes, well,
Oh,
thanks.
wonderful.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. And do you have any comments for us? Nope. Okay. All right. Hearing none, I think we're ready to move on to discussion items. So the first thing up is the annual selection of officers. And according to our bylaws, we are to elect, it says, election of officers, the committee shall elect a chair and vice chair annually during its first meeting in January. Since that meeting was canceled, we'll be doing that today. The chair shall preside over meetings. The vice chair shall perform the chair's duties in their absence. And each officer serves for 1 year. Do I have a motion for the chair?
I'll make a motion that we give the Honorable Nancy Kimball the chair position.
Do
And
I have a?
I would
second?
like to second Nancy Kimball as the chair.
Do we have any discussion on that motion? Nancy, we'll think about it. No.
Nancy, thank you for wanting to take on the role and continue with the role.
Okay,
We appreciate your hard work over the last year as the chair.
Yes.
okay, thank you very much for that. All right, we need a vote. All in favor of?
Roll
Nancy
call.
Just
Kim-
roll call.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Sorry. Cherick
Yes.
and Kimball
Yes.
and Roach.
Yes.
All right, now we also need to elect a vice chair.
I'll make a motion where we elect Kelly Roche to be vice chair.
And I will second that motion. Is there any discussion? All right, can we have a vote?
The Honorable Kelly Roche.
Also, again, thank you, Kelly, for
Oh.
wanting to be in that position.
Thank
My
you very
pleasure.
much. Yes.
Cherick
Yes.
Kimball,
Yes.
and Roach.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We have our new officers. All right. Now we are ready to move on to our DPW administrative update. Michelle, you get to carry the ball this time.
Okay. So the holiday lights will come down next week. The guys have been working hard at keeping them on. And we've discovered a couple outlets that were working at the beginning of the season, stopped working mid-season. Electrician came out right away, fixed them. They were good to go. So we just need a few more days and then next week they will come down. So the 2026 Street and Utility Improvements Project pre-construction meeting was supposed to be held this week, but due to some scheduling conflicts, that has been pushed out. A new date has not been set yet. That will be the Maple Street project, and then a couple other things that were in that will be discussed at that time.
And there's no scheduling issue with that by pushing that meeting off a little bit.
No, it doesn't sound like it, so.
Okay.
The guys have been out snow plowing most of January. And then with the warm weather last week, they were able to get a lot of maintenance done on the trucks that had to be done, that had to be pushed off because of the weather. So it was a nice break for them, gave them some time off because they worked a lot of 7 days, weeks. So we are working on quotes to redo Village Square siding. So hopefully that can get done yet this fiscal year, but depending on how things go, it may be pushed off to the fall, which Village Square courts will be done at the same time. So it'll be a nice upgrade down there.
And this would be for the restroom?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Same color?
What's that?
Same color?
Yes. Yep. Chain Ferry
Sorry,
Landing.
Michelle, so what's the timeline on that? That's fall of 2026 or?
We would like to do it this fiscal year because it was budgeted for then.
Okay.
But we're working on a scope of work for it, and then we need to get 3 quotes. So
Okay.
depending on contractors' scheduling, it may not get done yet this year, but fingers crossed, we're hoping we can get somebody to get it done. So Chain Ferry Landings, we are working on getting quotes to do some maintenance to those. The arbors were done by Diversified Welding, but the weather had to warm up a little bit for the guys to complete the project. So hopefully with the weather turning towards spring, they can get that done. And then the landings will hopefully also be done this spring, and then it'll be ready for the season when it opens. And then AJ is taking his CDL class next week, so we will have another CDL driver.
Okay.
And then Angela is working on her test at Secretary of State.
Great, great updates.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody have any questions for Michelle? Excellent report. Thank you. Okay, and Judy, thanks so much for
Hello,
getting
Judy.
here. We know you had a conflict and
I do. I have to leave in about 30 minutes at the latest.
Okay, let's do
Okay,
it. So
let's
let's
get
get
it.
it. I think
Get her
we
done.
probably should.
well, then we switched the order of the agenda,
Oh.
thinking you wouldn't get here until later.
That's fine. I mean, we can continue.
Well, if-
Question would be though, is if we don't have her here for a vote on Mount Bald Head, we can't move it forward because we would only have, because I'm recusing myself from that one.
exactly, right.
So we would need to do that first, I believe. Do we need to make another amendment?
Do we need to, can we change the agenda order at this point?
Based on voting
Yeah.
I
timing.
say, let's just
You
do
done.
that.
We need a motion or do we just?
Okay, go ahead and do a motion.
Okay, I motion that we switch the order of items C and D once again to make sure that we have voting in accordance.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Aye. Okay, motion carries. All right, so that means we are now at
Mount Bald Head
Mount Baldhead
revegetation.
revegetation.
Okay.
Okay, Mount Baldhead revegetation.
Is there something you want pulled up, certain page?
Can you pull up ODC's proposal?
page it said.
And there is a sample motion there on page 6.
Yep.
Right, and I did print that out somewhere here.
So it sounds like we did not get any other bids from MSU Extension or anything of the like that we asked for at the last meeting. So
Correct,
Yeah.
but Michelle, do you want to talk to the point of your efforts at trying to get, and you know, we do have the quote from, or the proposal from Kalamazoo Nature Center, so we do have 2.
Okay.
And you worked very hard this last month to try to get a third, and you want to just elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I spoke with Clay at Davy Research Group, and he was really interested. I sent him the information. We had set up a Zoom meeting, and he never showed. So when I reached back out to him, he never responded, and I tried a couple different times. So I took it as there was no more interest there. And then I had spoke briefly with Keith from Black River Habitats. He also said he was interested, so I sent him the information, and then he never responded again. And then MSU Extension, I reached out to them, left them a voicemail, and I've never got a call back.
Okay.
So,
Well,
Are we satisfied with who?
Yes.
I feel pretty satisfied with the people who have put forth the effort, and maybe we should stick with who has done that.
Yes, thank you, Lauren,
Yeah.
and I would concur, and I know that council always wants us to get, 3 quotes, but it seems like every effort was made to do that.
And prior to that, I reached out to PLM as well, which was a prior vendor of the cities, and that was multiple back and forth with no moving forward in terms of the project.
Okay.
Okay.
Last year.
So we do have 2 really qualified quotes, and I really appreciate both of them. I think they both put a lot of effort and thought into it. And we have talked about these at past meetings. So as far as the differences between the 2 quotes, ODC had amended theirs based on some questions and concerns that we had, so that their cost actually now comes in at $21,860, and the original quote from Kalamazoo Nature Center was for $23,000. I would say those are very comparable, so I don't think we have a big difference in cost there. So it's really more about the qualitative aspects of the 2 proposals. And does anybody want to make a comment as far as the difference between the 2, or thoughts, or how do we make a decision?
I mean, I think we talked about these at length. And all of us have read through the information, so I think we're kind of at the point where we're ready to vote.
And I guess I took a look at them again, and just to maybe give a couple of points, in summary. The approaches are different. Kalamazoo Nature Center had a lot of dune grass. A lot of the cost went towards dune grass plantings. We were not absolutely convinced that we needed the dune grass. Then we went back to ODC, who had no dune grass, but we questioned if they had enough plantings, and that's when they basically modified their proposal. They added additional plantings. We also had concerns about the deer,
Fencing.
amount of deer resistance we would have or whatever. And so they basically came back with some proposals to add additional protection on, like the little saplings, to ensure that they survive as best they can, at least that the deer wouldn't be the ones to eliminate them. We still have a lot of issues with watering because we don't water up there. So that's always a concern. And I don't think there's much we can do to mitigate that. But also they came back with some additional fencing that they would put around certain sections of the new plantings, just to ensure that those are also blocked off from deer. And they would give us some signage and a little bit of, I think, tape, so that we would have some protection from humans, and that they would not be traversing through that area that we've just newly planted, once those plantings are done. Also, Tanner had reached out to us to say, if we do intend to move forward, we need to do so in a timely manner, because they're scheduling projects now, and if we want to be on the 2026 schedule, we need to let them know that. And they'll also be putting in their orders for plants. So we don't want to miss that, because obviously we wouldn't get, the best price or, choices on the plants that need to go in there. So those are just a few comments that I thought I would share. So I think with that, if anybody else, no one else has a comment, if you do, happy to hear it. So I think we would be ready for a vote. Do I have a motion?
Okay. And I'd like to recuse myself due to my affiliation with ODC Network on this vote.
Okay. Recusal accepted. All right. So
To take the vote?
I think we need to
On
basically.
page 6, there's a sample motion, if you
Sample
could
motion.
read that.
It basically, if you don't have it there,
Bottom.
Judy, it
Judy's
says,
right there, bottom.
Move to approve the Outdoor Discovery Center proposal for revegetation of Mount Baldhead.
Yes.
Judy moves.
To approve the Outdoor Discovery Center proposal for revegetation of Mount Baldhead?
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor. Do we need a roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Cherrick,
Yes.
Kimball,
Yes,
and Teal.
Yes.
okay. Motion carries. Okay, we are ready to move on to our next really important item, which is the Village Square Courts. And my understanding is that we do have John Moxie available to us by Zoom, so we could ask him some questions. Can you
Hi,
basically?
John.
Yeah, there's John.
Hi, everybody. I think Michelle is going to tee this up. We had a good discussion at council. I know some of you were there. But they didn't feel completely qualified to make a decision without some input from PPW. So we have a range of options, everything from there was a sense of, do we just put back what is currently there, just a modern version of what's there, adding shuffleboard because that's a historic use, moving toward some kind of a pickleball option, either a combination court with an adjustable net or standalone pickleball court. So we put together a range of options that kind of shows, how could you use this space? I think there's a sense from council that they don't want to completely pave this space because Village Square is kind of meant to be a respite area of sorts within the downtown area. There was some concern raised at council about the noise from pickleball. It's a little bit of a sharper sound, I'm sure any of you that have played know, than tennis. So that was kind of the range that I heard. I don't know, anybody else that was there at that meeting can catch if I missed something that was kind of part of that conversation. But ultimately, council would like a recommendation from you, hopefully today, on what would you like to see in that space.
John, to start, first of all, thank you for this. I'm very excited about this project. What is the timeline in order to stay in good standing with the grant? I do understand that council wants a motion, but we just received this on Friday to look at. So I think many of us have spent a good amount of time on this, but also just curious about exactly how this project needs to proceed in terms of timing.
That might be one that Michelle can help with, but my understanding is Ryan Cummins would like a something for council's next meeting. For our grant perspective, we have some flexibility. We're really driven by, do we want to construct this year? And that might be what Ryan is thinking. If we're going to get this ready for fall construction, we've got to have some direction here pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah, the conversation I had with Ryan yesterday is he'd really like something to present to council next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
This one's tough because there's so many opinions on it, right? And no opinion is wrong. I always like to say that because that's just kind of how these things go. It sounded like council was mostly in favor of design number 5. That was a tennis court, a pickleball court, and a shuffleball court. I was not at that meeting because I was on vacation. I'm leaning more towards option 4, which has the 2 pickleball courts and the shuffleboard area, the design number 4. The reason being is I believe we can utilize the tennis courts up by the high school. I often play pickleball downtown, and there's oftentimes a wait. So it'd be nice to have 2. I think 4 is too much. 2 would be ideal, in my opinion. And if shuffleboard, if there's room for that, I'm not opposed to it. I didn't hear a lot of people saying, "Hey, we need shuffleboard in this area." But if it's part of a historic nature, I guess I can see the leanings of that, perhaps.
Lauren, can I just,
Yeah.
I was thinking about the shuffleboard. Don't you need equipment in order to play shuffleboard? And I didn't know how we would manage that.
Yeah, I mean, so the rental company that's right there, often you can rent pickleball paddle, pickleball equipment.
They just give them out.
Maybe-
You
yeah.
don't have to rent them. They're
Yeah,
there for people to sign out.
So, I mean, if they would be willing to do that, I mean, it might be an additional cost that the city would have to, pay for to get equipment.
The people that are really into shuffleboard actually have their own equipment that they take with them because they prefer their own poles and their own
Okay.
discs and stuff.
Do we have people in town that were hoping for that?
I'm not sure. It was brought up at city council.
Okay.
So,
Somebody does.
I never heard, this is the first I've heard about the shuffleboard.
Okay.
actually.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we can move this forward and get, a majority consensus on this would be great.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Kelly.
My primary concern with moving forward with this so quickly is that we do not know what's happening with the tennis courts at the high school, right? And so I did reach out to the superintendent there. He wrote me an email that he said that I could share here, and essentially that it is his preference in terms of the school to keep the tennis courts. However, they are not part of
Keeping the tennis courts by the high school.
by the high school.
Yes.
So to be clear, he is in favor of doing that. However, the sinking fund, which comes up to vote on May 5th, would be potentially contributing funds to be able to do that. So that would need to go through, or the next vote, which would be moving towards, a community rec center or something of that nature, funds could come through that. So the problem is that if we vote to take the tennis court out downtown and we don't have full recognition of what's going to happen up on the hill, we don't know that we're going to have tennis courts. We would like to be in, people are in favor of that. We would like to move forward with that, but we don't know. Right. So that would be something that I pose to this group that you consider. And also that's why I asked about the timeline of it, because I would love to be able to figure out how we can work collaboratively as a community to make sure that all people in terms of constituency are considered in terms of things that they like to engage with, right?
mhm.
So,
And
Yeah.
if we remove the tennis court, we've removed the only tennis court that the city of Douglas sponsors.
City of Saugatuck.
Saugatuck?
I'd say, thank you. I see, where am I? What's that? No, kidding. So we'd be removing the only tennis court the city of Saugatuck sponsors or has. And the high school is a separate entity.
Right.
But this would be a city court. And like Douglas has 2 or 3 or 4 courts. They also have pickleball courts. But
no, they don't have tennis courts.
I was gonna say, I don't know of any tennis courts in
These-
Douglas.
Ones at the park are just pickleball.
They're just pickleball.
Yeah.
They were all
They've been
converted.
converted.
oh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
did not know that. See, I'm not a pickleball player.
Mhm.
So we have the only tennis court, city sponsored tennis court.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't consider the ones up on the hill part of our city, but.
Well, I
you
do,
know.
but they're actually not in great condition, and if the money doesn't come forward from the high school this round, at least if this is getting done sooner than later, through the grant or what, and there's actually contribution, I understand, for the basketball court, we'll at least have one in good condition, brand new.
Mhm.
My thinking is that pickleball has gained so much popularity. And I've had so many people coming to me saying, when are we going to get pickleball? Can we not have pickleball at the village courts? And it seems as if that pickleball courts would get a lot more use than tennis court at this point. And then option 5, when I looked at it, where we try to accommodate both, and we have a tennis court and we have a pickleball court adjacent to it. I tried to kind of visualize that, and I feel like I can be pretty impartial because I don't really play either one, but it just seemed as if a pickleball court right next to a tennis ball court, those are totally different vibes. So I reached out to several tennis players that I know, and I said, how would you feel about having a pickleball court adjacent to the tennis court? And they all thought that was a really bad idea. And I also did just a little research on the internet, and basically it's partly there's a noise conflict because tennis, it's just a little more genteel, and you hit that ball and it's softer. Whereas not only do you have the noise of the pickleball, but also it's just more social and people get more excited, and there's a lot more noise. So tennis players kind of find that distracting when they're trying to serve, or they just have a hard time tuning that out. Also, the ball has a tendency in the pickleball, to bounce into the tennis court. And so, so that's very annoying for the tennis players. And then what about
Would
fencing?
Would there be a fence in between?
Well, and that's what I wanted to ask John, what the fencing concerns were, because the tennis players also said you really should have an 8-foot fence around your tennis court. And that to be seemed to be rather unsightly, right there in our,
Yeah.
in our viewpoint. But I don't know if that was the plan, but they were all encouraging me that we really needed that in order to keep the ball from, going out to the street and everything else. Now, there's no fence, or there's minimal
Yeah.
fence.
John, can you comment on that? I don't see fencing in the rendering.
Yeah, so for the tennis court, the idea was to basically recreate the backstops that are there with kind of a U shape. There was some sense at council of wanting to keep this more open space. If we did pickleball, most pickleball courts that I see at least are fenced, the entire perimeter for those very reasons.
Right, but the tennis court, the tennis players I was talking to actually felt like the tennis court should be fenced and that it should have a higher fence, similar to the high school courts have that really high fence.
Yeah.
So that just, now we could,
I don't
obviously, we don't have fencing there now, so it doesn't mean we would have to put fencing there. But that was just feedback that I got from the tennis players.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't know, I was kind of just coming to the conclusion that with pickleball being so much more popular, people asking for that the courts would get a lot more use if we put in pickleball courts rather than tennis, and we
And
do everything we can to support courts on the hill.
may I ask John, John Moxie, the rendering number 4 with the 2 pickleball courts, the fencing, is there fencing all around, just kind of the shorter fencing?
That's typically what I see. It really
Yeah.
depends. Nothing has been set in stone. But usually what I will see is, yeah, with pickleball, we'll see the shorter fencing, but all the way around the perimeter. Tennis is a higher fencing. It doesn't have to be all the way around the perimeter. Today it isn't, but it could be.
I'm just going to look to see.
All right.
Yep. And I will say, in those that have reached out, pickleball is the priority for downtown. So I also, if we were to move forward, ideally, I would love to see pickleball downtown. People are already, my family plays downtown. We do have weights sometimes when we go down there, so we do see other people using it. So ideally, I like the idea of the 2 pickleball courts. But my concern that I just want to put out there, and if there's a way for the city to work with the school, just to see and make sure that we're kind of talking to see if we can make tennis up on the hill and then pickleball downtown would be an ideal scenario, I think, for the community and then also for visitors.
Yeah, and I know the Boys and Girls Club, I've seen them using the tennis courts up at the school. So you have, dozens of kids at a time in there using the basketball courts that are in there, the tennis courts, and maybe there's a way to help fund that if the sinking fund doesn't pass, with maybe Rotary or some other organizations that could help with the Boys and Girls Club's use of it in the school district. I mean, I throw it out there as just something to think about if resurfacing is definitely needed. As long as the school isn't getting rid of them to put a parking lot there. I know that it sounds like they intend to keep it.
Yes.
And as long as
Very
they
much so.
intend to keep it, I feel okay with going with 2 pickleball courts and eliminating the tennis court downtown and really relying on those tennis courts that are designed to be tennis up at the school. That's just my opinion.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Lauren.
Okay.
And also, it was pointed out to me that even though the school doesn't have a tennis team, the PE classes use those, or, play tennis.
That's
And
right.
have tennis modules or whatever, so we
Right.
really want to encourage that as well. So we would hope for those courts to be resurfaced.
Yeah.
And we could basically acknowledge that needs to get some support.
Yes.
And we would be inclined to
Okay.
promote that, I think is the word I'm looking for.
And did you want to mention the mural aspect?
Yes. So a couple other things. When we first started this project, we talked about having an artistic component to the basketball courts. This is something that's actually, I wouldn't say common, but is in a lot of different communities. There's one right next to, if you ever go up to the downtown market in Grand Rapids, the basketball court just next to that has some beautiful just colors, patterns across it. And so I know there was interest from this group. And so that is something that I wanted to put out to the group and also see if we could also put in as a recommendation to move forward to council as they consider what that is going to look like. And ideally, we've got the beautiful playground across the street. There's some primary colors, but also some neutrals there. So there's a great color palette that we could just very feasibly move across the street. Do something, since we are an art coast town and people visit us for the art aspect. So I'd love for that to be in consideration as well. So I open that to the group if that's.
One of the things
Something of
that,
interest.
when I was looking into that, I looked at some videos, and it looked like when communities have done this, they've taken kind of a professional and then had community members get involved with the painting. So it could be something through the school district, it could be something in our community, the artists in our community, where you have one designated, the visual person that came up with the design, and then have other people help with the painting and making sure we're doing it with the right types of paint.
Colors.
Yeah, yeah, and making sure that could happen. And I feel like if we just give it that kind of dedication, we would be in good shape if we could recommend that.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, we
And-
are the Art Coast community, and it's such a great opportunity. To actually facilitate this, would this be something that we would have staff take the lead on, or would
So I wonder if
PPW?
there is a way to do like an ask for proposals. And so you could ask for designs to be submitted, and then we could pick from those design options. And then also within those applications, if you will, they would go into how they would have the community be involved. Whether it's local artists involved, whether the school district's involved, but, put it out to the school, put it out to local artists and say, hey, can you put a presentation together with your design, and then how you would get the community involved? And then we could pick from that group. And it would be really cool if city council says, yes, we want to go ahead with the mural, then it comes to PPW where we look at all of the options. We make 3 recommendations to council. And I mean, that's the way I would go about it, but
Yeah, John, do you have any comments on that? I don't know if there's other communities that you've worked with that have done that, because I know specifically with, resurfacing and the materials that are used, since they are outdoor, year round, that if it has to be done in a particular way, and I don't have any expertise on that, so.
Yeah, thanks. Even before I get there, I was going to interject that I love the idea, but a word of caution that we muted the colors on the basketball court specifically because that was a comment from our donor partner that we originally were just showing Saugatuck's high school colors as kind of a
Yeah, I saw that,
placeholder,
yeah.
and they said that's too loud for us. So that would need to get worked through with the donor. They're most concerned about the basketball court. That's where this started. So that's just a conversation that needs to be had. That maybe they love the idea. But
if
Oh,
we
okay.
could then possibly, Michelle, go to the donor and say, I understand you want the muted. What are your thoughts on a mural? If a mural is not in their interest, then mute.
And that's our answer.
That's our answer. That's an easy
Yes.
question.
And we don't have to,
Then we don't have to even go down that road.
And
So thank you, John.
yeah, thank you.
That's
Kelly
helpful.
had made a suggestion that with the playground across the street being somewhat natural colors,
Mhm.
that maybe it would be fun if it tied in with that, and that might address their concern about muted because.
Well, I
would
think
not-
that's why it's the green and the brown.
Yeah,
That's the
so-
more muted color.
Right, but
Yeah.
but
Okay.
we would make it a little more artsy, but
Okay.
potentially those colors.
There's a lot we could do with neutral colors.
Yep.
Right.
Or more
There's like-
natural color.
Yeah, there's,
Yeah, exactly.
there's sage and different brown tones if we wanted to even pull from the playground. So,
So if that's part of the conversation, say, if a mural is done, we can do them in more muted colors.
Okay.
If they don't prefer that, that's cool.
Then-
And
then that gives us-
I would like to go with what the donor.
Yes, yes.
Personally.
the other thing you could consider if we end up with pickleball or tennis or whatever at the north end, I think that's less of a concern for the donors. So maybe that would be where you could, focus your creative energies.
That would be hard.
I don't know
When
if
you have
tennis
yeah,
Yeah.
Players would appreciate that. I don't, when you're.
playing pickleball,
Yeah.
that might be tricky.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to see the lines.
Yeah.
Because it's like a fraction where you're like, that was in, that was out. Yeah, you've got to be careful with that.
Yeah, and then just a couple other comments in terms of the rest of the renderings. So I love all of the native, like planting call outs, the perennials, because I know as far as DPW staff, that's a lot for them, but to beautify our space is fantastic. And John, this might be a question for you. We had talked before about potentially putting in some educational signage about like, if it's going to be pollinator gardens. I know we're putting in some rain gardens and green stormwater. That would be an excellent way to sort of educate people on sort of our community values and things that we're doing there, because there's a lot of just hanging around in those spaces. So points of interest to talk about why we designed that garden the way we did, because we are being very intentional about it. So I didn't know if that was already considered as part of the project, or is that something that we could make a motion on?
Yeah, definitely something, that's direction that would be great to pass up to council. We didn't have anything planned, like in terms of a formal educational piece, but I love the idea.
Okay. Michelle, if you don't mind. Writing that one down.
Kelly,
And
what
then-
I'm thinking is when we actually vote on our recommendation, we can make bullets and
Yep.
include all these things
Yep.
in it too.
Yeah,
Okay, so
great.
it's documented.
And then quick question, Lauren and I spoke briefly about this, the orientation in the option 4 of the pickleball courts. Was that, John, based on the sun throughout the day in terms of its impact, on the courts and, the players' annoyance or whatever it is with where the location of the sun is, or why are they flipped?
So it's based on trying to maximize the existing space that's there. The original concept was to just expand the concrete that's out there and then resurface it, so it's all nice and uniform. So the concept there is trying to capture as much of that existing concrete as we can.
John, can you talk about the surface? One of the tennis players that I talked to was asking if it was going to be asphalt versus concrete, and they were concerned that asphalt in our area doesn't hold up that well. And so I was just wondering, and I didn't have a response. I didn't really understand what the surface materials are.
Yeah, the idea is still to keep the concrete that's there and expand it to meet the safety boundary, or to meet the new configuration if we end up going with pickleball, and then doing a resurfacing with that. That would not be an asphalt surface. That would be more like, not paint, but along those lines, like an epoxy or something like that, just to give it a fresh surface and the vibrant colors and things like that.
Okay. Is it possible to flip those pickleball courts? Just, actually Kelly had pointed out to me that potentially the ball could be going into the street a bit more or something, the way they're oriented right now. Is it possible to flip those?
I mean,
Yeah,
north
for
to
sure.
south.
It's almost a square.
Okay.
Oh, it is a square. Yeah, so we could flip them.
And it does make sense going east to north to south instead of east to west because of the sun. Because the tennis courts are north to south, the pickleball courts in Douglas, not Saugatuck, are north to south also.
So you avoid getting the sun in your eye.
So you,
Well, that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess that would be a suggestion, is potentially to reorient those. Also, it was pointed out to me that since pickleball is so social and a lot of people will be gathering, oftentimes, there's weights, and we show a couple of benches, but potentially we might want more benches, I think, than what the rendering is showing. And I don't know if anybody has any comments on that.
Yeah, more benches, and I've seen some pretty neat like paddle racks and things like that, so you can kind of set your place in line, and the whole
Yes.
football community has kind of embraced that.
Yes, and that was also a comment that I
That's a
I
good one.
received, that we need to have a racking system.
are there benches on here? I don't see.
Yeah.
There are a couple.
Look at
On the left side,
number 4.
Street side.
Yeah, street side. Right now, there aren't any benches. Is there, as far as I know? Have you ever noticed there's no benches?
no, there's not, like,
Like you just kind of stand.
There you
Right,
go.
right.
yeah. And also, when we ride bikes down there, there's not a rack. I was just,
You can,
prop my bike up.
Okay.
I don't want you.
And John, as far as the grading, we wouldn't be actually impacting that hillside, would we, with what you're proposing here? So I heard a concern from one of the homeowners that they were concerned if any of the hillside was, to be leveled or anything, that might impact the stability. And it looks to me like we're not affecting that at all with this concept number 4. Is that accurate?
Right. The biggest impact might be a short little retaining wall, because creating that flat surface is going to change some of the slopes within the park itself. But no, nothing with the hill per se.
Okay, so can we just put in there just protection of the mature trees on the east side would be a priority? Because those are beautiful old trees.
They
And
create really nice shade.
a
right
nice,
there.
well, nice shade and nice buffer
Mhm.
between the residential area uphill and where the activity is going on in Village Square.
I like it. Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Oh, also, as far as the benches, there was also a suggestion made to me that could we put any kind of a awning over those if they are exposed? You know, if there is no tree cover, just because it can be hot in the summer.
Yeah.
So just another thing to consider.
Feels kind of shaded right there.
I
Mhm.
don't, there, the one tree, the tree that is by the street is planned for removal based on what I saw in the rendering,
Oh, crud.
because it's in poor condition. Is that right, John?
Yeah, I'm seeing that too on that. I think it's the fourth concept. The other option is if you like the tree cover instead of a structure, tree planting is certainly an option as well.
Yeah.
Well, trees are always good, but then the other, yeah, if we plant too many trees, how's that going to affect our pollinator plants in our rain garden and that kind of thing? You know, we need some light too for plantings.
Yeah, I mean,
It-
I would leave it to them, but I would say if we can maximize shade while also having the natives flourish,
Well, right, but those are kind of sometimes at,
Hopefully we'll have experts on hand
Yes.
to
yes.
take care of that.
Um. Okay. Is there, oh, I did want to go back to the shuffleboard. Just because I don't really want to see us put something in that's not going to be used that much. And if that space was vacated, would that give us just more room for the benches and things that we want? What else could we do instead? And just thought maybe we should talk about that.
yeah, I don't understand the shuffleboard because I haven't heard anything in terms of interest in it. If I'm all for having it multi-use, multi-generational use, and I'm definitely a proponent of a third space for kids to be able to hang out, right? Because there's not a lot of places in our town where especially teenagers are welcome to hang out. And so adding things that we know people will use, I think is really, really helpful. So if we're open to this idea, I don't know that shuffleboard is it. So is it bocce? Is it, when we vacation, like these chessboards that stay out? Or, picnic tables or permanent tables that have checkerboards on them. We just went to New York to Central Park. They have like a whole area where it's multi-generational people hanging out, playing chess and checkers together. It's incredible. And that obviously speaks to a different demographic that would be maybe not interested in the pickleball. So I'm totally open to those ideas. I'm not landed on that. I don't know what the cost is in terms of, the addition to the project. So I also just don't want to spend money to spend when there's lots of different things that we could do. So that's where my question mark comes in with that. I'm not sure where that, I heard maybe John said something, a historical reference here, but I have no knowledge of that, nor has anyone come to me with an interest in this.
Yeah, I
So-
love the idea of game tables too, because that's another option for while you're waiting. And it is multi-generational.
Mhm.
Well, that's a good point, right? You can
Yeah, I mean.
get in a quick game of,
But that gives.
you can get in
Yeah,
some
you-
checkers while you wait for the
the
pickleball
age
court.
where you can-
Yeah, I pulled some images of that, and like that is something in urban spaces, you see those everywhere, where it's literally just part of the tabletop.
Right.
And then again, is this something that Satya Yoga would be willing to have components for, or people realize it's there and you see people using these spaces?
People bring their own chess sets, people bring their own checker sets.
If people know it's there. So anyway, it's just something we throw out. I know we're looking to make, some decisions, but that brings up another whole aspect of it of like, okay, if we're trying to maximize the activation of the space, in what other ways can we bring people into this so that they feel very welcome? And that it's,
I have a question about the table configuration that you've seen. Just curious, is it really like picnic tables? Is it square
Mhm.
tables?
Round
Is it
tables.
so that it could also just be additional seating for people who are,
Waiting.
waiting around or
yeah.
socializing?
Oh, yeah, and you
Also-
could eat on it. Like, I mean, it has, it's literally just built into the tabletop. They're cool. This-
Because, yeah, that seems like a,
show you. This is very cool. I mean, this is in Central Park, so look at that. So those are all tables that are permanent. And then on top of that is the board.
so basically,
Okay.
we could,
So they're permanent cement. These are cement. They're actually very common. They have them in Chicago on the lake shore as well. So anyway, it's a thought. If, if we're brainstorming, there's extra space and we're looking for reasons for people to come and use the space. So
John,
I
if
don't want to confuse it, right? Because we have decisions to make, but at the same time, it's like we also owe it to consider other things and do it right.
John, would you be able to do a new rendering that would basically flip the order of the pickleball courts and number 4, basically make a modified number 4 and eliminate the shuffleboard and incorporate some game tables?
Lauren, are we in a timeline for this?
Well, I mean, it sounded like Ryan was hoping we had a decision today,
All right, so.
a recommendation today.
So basically the space is the same, is that right, John?
What is that? What's your
The
question?
space is basically the same where the pickleball courts are, whether they're very north, south, or east, west right now. The space is.
Yeah, within a few feet, I think. Yep.
I mean, so if it's north, south, it might actually, they look longer right now on number 4. They look longer from east to west than they are from north to south. So if you flip it, they might actually take some space out from where the shuffleboard court currently is in this rendering. True, false?
Pretty close. Yeah, I think either fits fine.
All right.
I guess the other thought is you could send back to council. These are our thoughts. We'd love some additional
Yeah.
time to
Mhm.
consider this.
Yep.
I think that's a fair ask.
Okay, is there anything else that you think we need to consider since you've been in these meetings, John?
No, I love the ideas. Yeah, the going back to the shuffleboard, that was I think Councilmember Gardner pointed out that the area that is a half-court basketball today is where the shuffleboard was, and his thought was just kind of bringing back history and creating something for that aging generation, that older generation. But I love the gaming table idea. I think that's great.
We could probably get 2 game tables in the space of that.
Well, and for the cost, right?
Yeah.
That's something we'd have to look into. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, do we all feel comfortable where I have some notes and
I have
know
one
you do
more-
too.
One
Okay.
more point we haven't talked about. Pickleball, we do know is noisy. Do we want to recommend that there be some kind of a schedule put on the playing times just so that it's not,
That's great. No.
disruptive?
It's in.
No.
There's.
I think park
big
hours.
playground
Yeah.
Across the street, it's a lot like that's. the
Well, there are
center.
houses up on the hill there that I just am,
Yeah,
Oh, I think you're near a park,
Yeah.
and that's what
There's a park
you're
there.
expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
we
a
play
park now.
pickleball there now.
it is pickleball now.
Yeah.
So I don't think unless we get complaints and that's something that can be, we can
And
deal
if-
with after the fact
And if we're
if we need to, but
if we're gonna donate equipment to not Satya, but the bike rental place, or if they're gonna rent out equipment or give it out, they make noiseless paddles, they make paddles that aren't made of wood too, so you won't be hitting them. Cause it's
But-
noisy. I live in back of the tennis courts and man, when there's pickleball players come,
mhm.
you can't sit outside.
Yeah. So, okay.
what about lighting? Is there lighting, now? Are we going to have those courts lit at all?
Not to my understanding.
I would say. it's-
I don't see
No
any lighting in
lighting.
the presentation.
No.
Okay.
No,
Thanks,
nor do I
Judy.
believe we.
Thanks, Judy.
Thanks for coming.
I don't believe that we want lighting there either.
All right,
I mean,
that's
the
what-
park,
yeah, it was
the
just a
park
question.
currently closes at dusk,
Yes.
right? And so I would assume that this
So that
would
would
be under the
basically
same
take care of-
operation as what it always has been.
All right, that would take care of some of my concerns.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
noise, because
Yeah.
at least people wouldn't be playing in the dark.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So do we want to list off the things
Mhm.
that we would be interested in having looked at as a recommendation to?
Yeah.
So I have connect with the school about the high school tennis courts and the future with that. Native pollinator plantings as much as possible with the rain garden and green stormwater and educational signage.
Yes.
Okay. Since the courts are square, look at flipping those to a north-south
Yes.
due to sun and then the ball going away from the street. Paddle racks, so that if there is wait time, we know what the order of operations is. More benches
Yes.
and potential game table seating. So I would just put it as like a seating, benches, and then potential game tables, which would be chess or checkers.
And are
Those
you
are
saying
my
that
things.
in replacement of the shuffleboard?
Take out the shuffleboard.
Okay.
And then we want to ensure protection for the mature trees on the eastern slope. Check with the donor on their thoughts on murals or an artistic aspect to the basketball court.
And whether muted colors of that mural
Yeah.
is
Muted colors.
also
An
their
option.
desire.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
I'm just looking through my list and I think you've hit them all.
Mhm.
Oh, I do want some clarification on the fencing.
Okay,
So if it's pickleball, John, is that low fence all the way around?
That's typically what I've seen, maybe obviously openings for people getting in and out and across.
Yeah.
A lot of times I see where there isn't a fence between courts. But that depends on the park, depends on the setting.
Yeah. I've enjoyed the fence in between because it does stop your ball from going to the other court.
Right.
And that's helpful, so a short fence there. Of course, if you hit a long ball, sometimes it's going to go there anyway, but it does prevent a good amount
yes.
from going into the other court.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I think it's okay for us to recommend what we would call standard height pickleball fencing
Mhm.
Yeah.
between the courts and on the perimeter to the extent that we
Right.
allow for
Yep,
access.
with openings. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. That's all I
Okay.
have.
And we're making a recommendation to follow option 4, correct?
Right, with
Right.
those
With those
changes.
Yes.
Want to make a motion on that?
Yes, I think we
Yeah.
do. I don't know.
Before you do,
Sure.
if I can interject, the other idea
Please.
I've heard thrown around is the futsal. We haven't
Yes.
hit that today. If that's something you'd like council to consider, probably include that too.
Yep. So that is something, thank you for bringing that up, John. So that is something that I have done research into because I've had a few families come to me. So soccer has grown like crazy at our middle school, well, elementary, middle school, and high school. It's the most popular sport. And so again, in looking at where are spaces that kids can hang out, feel comfortable, bring their friends to, we thought about doing multi-sport with basketball and futsal. That's becoming really popular in urban areas. So I have contacted the Grand Rapids Futsal Association. Unfortunately, with this timeline, I don't feel comfortable making a full recommendation. One, a lot of the combo basketball kind of goal, I don't know, setup, they're European. So, it's in a lot of urban areas overseas. It's starting to be more and more common here. So there wasn't one company that I could find to get what the cost would be. And then the other consideration is, so my kids also play futsal indoors in the winter. It's a smaller, heavier ball, but it does go flying. And so we want to make sure that we're protecting the spaces around. So I personally do not feel like I have enough information to move forward with that. If this is something that we have more time on, the families that have come forward have offered to come and speak with us about it, and then also have the kids make a presentation as well, because they would love to see this happen for the community. And I think it's a really cool thing, and I do think it would be used. But again, just like we talked about the shuffleboard, like I don't want to make a singular motion for that. So I leave it to you guys, but it would require, I think, more research. One, on the right one to order, and then also what we need to have surrounding it. So like when you see it on courts in a downtown or like an urban setting, it's all cement, and then they actually have fencing around it, much like what like pickleball would have too, just to keep the ball in play. And I know we don't want to do that for the basketball court. So that is my 2 cents on that.
My thought is just a little bit, keep it simple. As soon as you introduce the second thing and then people come to play basketball, but there are other people playing futsal. It just seems as,
I mean, I
then we
think-
have to go back to our donor, I think, to
I
make
think
sure
with
that
the
it would
donor,
be,
we're already talking about the mural,
yeah.
and if we
So-
throw the futsal, it might deter.
Yeah, I would love to see it, but I don't feel like I'm the most educated person on that and like what we would need to do to move that forward. So.
And you're the most educated amongst those.
Yeah, I mean, it is,
room.
it's really fun and the kids
Yeah.
would love it. It's just with the timeline, with the donor and, but if council says that it is of interest, I would be happy to take that on and get the information that we would need and people engaging from the community. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So I would suggest we don't put it in our official recommendation and we let council direct us if they want us to pursue it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That-
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
And in the meantime, I swear they have them at the new park in Fenville. So I'll go out there, take a picture of it and see if, we can find out from Fenville
Where
but I'm
the
not
pictures are from.
positive, but to me, it looks like what futsal looks like
Okay.
in
this would be
Fenville.
great.
It's by the school.
Okay.
Their new court's by the school. So
Interesting.
I will take a look at that.
Okay.
And then, an ask of Fenville to find out what they did.
Where they purchased it.
Yeah.
Everything's in euros as far as all the
Okay.
companies that I've reached out to, which is fine, but it's just a matter of that's like one
One
you
more
know,
thing.
So yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's do
you have a comment?
No, I don't have a problem. Let's do a motion.
Yes.
And with the recommendations that you've written down.
Okay.
So,
Cal, do you?
Kelly, do you want to make
Okay.
the motion based on what you wrote down?
Yep. Okay, so I would like to make a motion to move forward with the Village Square court renovations. And it is option 4 on the renderings. Do you want me to walk through all
Yes.
of the different?
Yes.
Okay, so that is with a recommendation for council and city staff to connect with the school about what the long-term plan is for the high school tennis courts. Native and pollinator gardens as seen on the renderings, also green stormwater and rain gardens with educational signage. Look at flipping the tennis courts to north-south based on sun and I guess safety for where the balls will go.
Right.
Adding paddle racks, benches, ensuring to protect mature trees on the eastern slope. Checking with the donor on potential for a mural or some type of artistic rendering on the basketball court, and if muted colors would be an option for them. Looking at the potential for game tables that could be chess or checkers for multi-generation activation of the space. And then
Deleting shuffleboard.
deleting the shuffleboard, and then what was your last one? I didn't write that down.
Fencing.
And then
And
looking
fencing.
at
Fencing.
standardized fencing for the 2 pickleball courts. Do we have a second?
second,
All right, do we need to have a roll call?
We can, just for formality, because spending money. Cherik,
yep.
Kimball,
Yes.
and Broach.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, and you have that?
Yes. I have it scribbled here.
Okay.
And it's recorded.
Okay.
Okay.
Good discussion, and I will follow through and have the folks here kind of revise this concept to capture those thoughts too, so they have a visual to go with that.
Okay.
Okay, I just have a follow-up question maybe for Lauren. So this would go to council,
Be a recommendation to council.
right? Would you be the one to present that? Do you need any of us to also,
No, I mean, I think John would probably do a bit of the presentation because he'll have the renderings. And then I'll just be there for what was discussed here to just, just tell them what we talked about.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. All right. We're ready to move on to public comment. So I think that comes back to you, Brittany.
Yeah, right? Right?
Okay, thank you. Also on our agenda was the correspondence from Julie Sowa. I'm not sure how you pronounce her last name. But I think we all had a chance to read that. And, I think I might have mentioned, I talked to several tennis players, and actually Julie was one of those. So
Okay.
all of her thoughts have been incorporated into this meeting. So we are ready for committee member closing comments. Keith?
I think it was an excellent meeting. I like the concept number 4 that we picked. I like the fact that we made all the changes to that. It's all good.
Excellent. Okay, Lauren?
Yeah, I don't have anything more to add other than I'd always appreciate everyone being on this board. I was telling Kelly earlier that I went to the Kalamazoo River Greenway meeting, and it's really wonderful because there's so many stakeholders because it's tri-community and beyond, more than just tri-community. And it's hard when it's just a Saugatuck group because there's just so few of us. So I just really appreciate the so few of us who get involved and, try to get your neighbors to be more involved as much as possible. So we can have more people, have a voice in what we do every day.
Great.
Yeah. I echo that. I thank this group very much for their hard work. I'm very excited about this glow up to Village Square. I think it's going to be a major asset for many, many years to come. And I hope to see many more people using the space and engaging with it in a meaningful way. So that's really exciting. And then, as Lauren mentioned, we had the Kalamazoo River Greenway stakeholder meeting this past week, and that is the surrounding communities as well as a lot of the nonprofits that have impact over the river and green spaces. And I would love to be able to share more with this group at a later date. So we'll figure out what's appropriate for that as projects come to light. Okay.
Yes, and since I think we made some really good headway today, we've had this Mount Baldhead revegetation on our plate for like a whole year.
Feel like a whole year.
Like a whole year. And so we finally moved that forward. And, we didn't have this on our plate nearly as long, but I think we actually did a pretty good job. Sometimes, you just need a deadline.
Yeah.
And so we pulled it together. So I'm real happy about that. And now I think we just need to think about what comes next for us. And here's a couple of ideas for some really rather small projects, but our survey that was done, last fall, the city survey, I commented when we looked at the responses that there were a lot of people asking for additional benches and picnic tables. And I thought that we could at next meeting discuss a project where maybe this group would offer to inventory the parks and see where we would make suggestions for tables and benches.
It's a great idea.
And then what was my other idea? It just left me. It's a good one.
I'm sure it is.
And game table.
Oh, I know what it was. Restrooms. Also, the restrooms were the other hot item on the survey. And I think council would be supportive of us at least looking at the existing restrooms and making some suggestions. I know we're going to get new siding, but I would be looking at the interiors and saying there could be some improvements there. So that could be another, small project for us to just take on and make some recommendations. And, but everybody just, really appreciate everybody's input and thoughts and, contributions. So thanks for a great meeting.
Motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
Okay.
I second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes, we're adjourned. And it's
Such a
11:02.
sunny day. I'm gonna find my way
Yes.
to Fenville.
You can have it back.